This is Infection, the survival podcast recorded live on Tuesday, October 15th, 2019, episode 248. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Infection, the survival podcast. Infection is your source for the latest information on survival video games. We bring you the latest news, reviews, updates, and more each and every week. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. Of course, our website, infectionpodcast.com. Joining me as he does each and every week from the great state of Boise City, Idaho. It's the city of Boise City, Idaho, in the great state of Idaho. Brian, with an I, Aldridge. Hey, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing well. And, of course, you're tuned into your latest on infections and everything else.
Yeah, we haven't gotten any of those followers. We haven't gotten any of those followers in a while.
Random. I don't know. We randomly get a few here and there, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this is someone interested in infections.
Yeah, it'll be like, hey, it's like a CDC expert in infections follows us on Twitter. And it's like, hey, wrong place.
Yeah. We had one of them retweet, or like they tagged us in some really important.
And they put us in a list too. They put us in lists, like infection lists.
Yeah. But we had one where they were doing like an announcement of like some infection in South Africa, and they tagged our podcast on one of them. They fixed it a little bit later.
I'll tell you this though, Brian, we are an important source of news and information across the world. So I mean, I don't blame them for that. It's not their fault. You know, this is what we're here for, to spread the word to the people.
Yeah, the word on infections. So
hey,
if you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, of course, my blog, biteoftech.com with an I. If you would like to go and check out things related to the podcast, make sure you go to infectionpodcast.com. And on there, you notice on the right-hand side, we've got a thing that says join our Discord server. So if you click that, you can join the server. It's a free app on your phone. There's a desktop app, also a web-based version if you don't want to install any software. And you can submit news throughout the week. You can hang out, chat, play when we're doing Game of the Week. Play and have the voice chat for that. It's a great app, and it's very easy to use and very lightweight. Also, you can get the Steam group. If you just join that inside of your Steam client, you'll get a notification right before the show starts. And that may remind you, if you happen to be sitting here at a Tuesday at 7 Eastern, you can jump in and join us live, chat, and be a part of the game giveaway. We have links to all our different podcast forms, our YouTube channel. We've got on there Mixer, pretty much everywhere that we're available. We got a link to our Twitch, and then show notes. So if you are listening to this after the fact, perhaps you've missed out on a video, or you want to look at the original article that we're referring to, that'll be in the show notes right after we upload the show. So make sure you go to infectionpodcast.com, click on the episode that you're watching, and you can follow along and kind of jump around as we go through the show notes.
Absolutely. I do want to give a huge shout out for our video audience. You probably noticed something a little bit different at the beginning of the show. For you audio listeners, you have to check out our new intro. Our buddy Ben, I'm not going to dox him. Our buddy Ben, I think it was either Saturday or Sunday morning or later, one of those nights, he sent me a message and said, hey, I've been working on something. What do you think? And it was the intro you just saw. So he built a little world. I believe he built it in Unreal.
It's in Unreal.
It built it in Unreal and put our logo in there, and that will now be the new Infection Podcast intro. So, as we've said 1,000 times before with the show, a whole bunch of different ways that you can help support what we do, and what Ben did with that intro is just one of them. And we talked about our buddy USA of Zombie a couple weeks ago with his infections. There's all different ways that you can have a imprint on the show outside of the Twitch subscriptions and showing up for Game of the Week and stuff like that. All that stuff really helps and keeps things going with us here. I do want to thank a few people that have hit us with either the first-time subscription or the resubscription this week. I want to thank our buddy Johnny Find, who hit us with the 17-month resub when we were doing our Dead by Daylight stream over the weekend. And then our buddy Falcons Watch also hit us up with the 13-month resubscription as well. So I want to thank both of those guys for hitting us up this week with the resubscriptions on Twitch right here with their Amazon Twitch Prime link. So thanks to those guys and everybody else that constantly is remembering us on all that stuff. So there you go. That's I guess the beginning little advertisement of the show. Let's talk about Go ahead.
You had mentioned Game of the Week.
Yes.
And do you want to talk a little bit about that experience? Because we pretty much did a 7 Days to Die weekend.
Yes. So let's put this in my topic notes here. Let's talk about 7 Days to Die. So we talked about last week. It was last Monday that the Alpha 18 hit experimental. And I played a little bit Monday night, I think, or maybe it was Tuesday. I don't remember. And I had a good experience. But we played almost all weekend. I played up until about midnight Friday night. I played from about 9 a.m. to 3 or 4 p.m. on Saturday. And there's people playing right now. And we've had a large group of people playing Alpha 18 now for the past couple of days. We've gone through, it's got to be close to day 30 on the server now, if it's not further past that. So we have a lot of stuff going on with 7 Days to Die. And my initial reaction is this is by far the smoothest, latest experimental build that in recent times. My client never crashed. I never got kicked off the server. The server never crashed. And you haven't changed any of the server stuff. That's been the same now for the past couple of builds. So it was very, very smooth. And it was just a great experience. The game, they've changed the progression a lot. They have made, as we talked about last week, the weapons like the bow and arrow a little bit weaker. And with that, they have added I'm going to use the word copious amount of ammo to the game, and different ammo spawns and different types of weapons to use with those different sets of ammo. And they really have changed the game from a constantly running around trying to scavenge, radioactive cans from fridges and arrows to a game that, not easy game, not a looter shooter, but a game that's a little more, it just seems like the progression is a little bit more feasible than it was before because of the addition of ammo. I mean, so here's the thing with a game like 7 Days to Die. You've got daytime is 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. 4 a.m. to 2200 is how the clock runs on that. And during the day, you can go out and do your whole thing during the day. But at night, most people previously would just kind of sit AFK. You'd go and get something to eat. You'd browse the internet
wait for it to be over.
Yeah, and you'd wait from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m., which is like 12 or 13 minutes in real life worth of time, because the zombies are so strong at night and you're running around with a bow and arrow or some sort of melee weapon, and you're just not going to do it. With the addition of the higher amounts of ammo, I found myself running around at night because I could fend myself off.
Protect yourself.
Yeah, I could protect myself and fend off these zombies a whole lot easier than previously. So I personally found the game probably, besides the first time I played it, because that always, every time, the first time you play any game, it's always got a weird feel to it, and kind of like a weird first time feel. This is by far the best experience I've had playing the game. Alpha 18 Experimental is the best, probably in terms of mechanics, gameplay, and everything, is by far the best version of 7 Days to Die that has existed up to this point, which is good, because not every update has been that. Alpha 17 sucked in a lot of ways. It was buggy. It was crashy.
There was a lot of things that were broken.
It was a lot of things that were broken for months. Alpha 16 had its issues as well, and it was so long between 16 and 17 that a lot of those things lingered on for a really long period of time. So I found it to be just a great experience. And I know people, our friend Judd played it, and he says, the mechanics are fine, but it doesn't look great. I mean, it's just not a deal breaker for me. It's never been a deal breaker for me. And if a game's got good mechanics, which I believe it does, I'm willing to overlook less than ideal graphics. Now, that's a press for everybody's different with their preferences. That's the way it is. But I mean, I'm not going to say a game is unplayable because the graphics may not be up to snuff with a AAA title. I mean, that's just that's a little ridiculous in my opinion, it's a little ridiculous to say.
Yeah. One thing that was kind of nice is right before we went live with our server, they put out a patch.
Yeah.
So, and I think it was like the B143 patch, if I remember correctly. So we're playing. We haven't had to do an update, I think, since it started.
No, I don't
That
believe
was the
so.
last one. So luckily, I mean, this was what, 10, 15, 20 minutes or maybe an hour or two before.
Yeah, it was like 5 o'clock Eastern. Yeah.
Yeah, before we turned the server on, they put out a patch, and that's been the patch we've been running on this whole time. So it seems like it's been nice and consistent. And that patch was mostly just small fixes. There wasn't any major changes, but they did, fix what, a 5 or 6 page. I mean, that's small for them.
Yeah. Well, the update was 21 pages.
Yeah. So like there was like 5, 6 pages of updates, and with the list of current known issues. So that's good. And when I've been in there was once in a while people said that the frames dropped a little bit, which could be they have it running for 4 or 5, 6 hours. It could be some sort of a memory thing, who knows? But for the most part, haven't had people complaining about crashes. Now, Saul last night did have his motorcycle like launch into the air while he was riding.
Did it kill him?
And then it killed him, and the motorcycle was like 15 feet in the air, just sitting there.
Oh no! So he lost his motorcycle.
I don't know if he got it back. I said, well, we had mentioned to try to go up and build blocks up to it and see if you could interact with it.
Yeah.
And if you could, then maybe it would just drop to the ground and then probably kill him again. But
this would be on the ground.
We'll see. I don't know if he actually did it. So
yeah, this is one of the things with 7 Days to Die. And by the way you configured the server, people will criticize as it was lightweight, but as somebody that was planning on playing for the weekend, you set it so that when you died, your inventory stuck with you, which originally my reaction was like, oh, and then as I realized as I wanted to progress through the game, I wasn't quite, not that people were just running to die, but I just didn't have to worry about, I don't know, I just didn't have to worry about getting in these impossible situations and losing all of my inventory. So it was nice because we played for the weekend.
We could do those dungeon runs too and not be like, oh, it's my bag is stuck in the middle of all that.
Yeah. And now if you were playing the server for a elongated period of time, obviously you wouldn't want that on because it would probably
be more of a hardcore mode.
Yeah, exactly. But for our short period of time that we played over a 3-day weekend, it was a great experience. And it's exactly the kind of experience that I think a lot of people have had. We had at one point 17 people Friday night playing the game. I would say probably since H1Z1 our largest single game turnout. Is that yeah. I mean that sounds pretty accurate. And that was H1Z1 was
right.
3 years ago. Was what, 2.5 years ago when the last time we actually played Just Survive. So clearly this is not a one-off opinion. The Alpha 18 update is really solid. They have done a dramatic change to the game, and they did do a big amount of updates to the graphics of the game. They redid all of the icons. They added, 70 new points of interest with a lot more detail than previously existed.
They redid the random world generation. I think I don't know how much they redid the shader, but the version before this, they redid the whole shader. So I mean, they've been doing a full rework. They give them the capabilities. There's some really old graphics and assets sitting in there, and I'm wondering before they leave alpha if they're going to go through and have a graphic artist kind of rework the last of the blocks so everything is somewhat polished. Because there's pieces that look nicer and new, and then there's pieces that look like the original. They're really old and very fuzzy.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I'm going to be honest about it, as we've said this 1,000 times, I would rather have a developer working on mechanics, zombie AI, player interactions, and points of interest than, oh, game looks like Minecraft, and them having to them changing them putting those things on the back burner to make the game up to par with what everybody else is expecting. There's a time and a place, in my opinion, for what are quality of life changes, and those are quality of life changes. And Absolutely. When they get ready to leave alpha, if they don't deal with that, then absolutely, that's a huge problem. Huge problem. But while they're in alpha and while they're in such a small team, I really have a hard time sitting here and ragging on them for the graphics. I really do.
Yeah.
I think it's unrealistic. And if you're not going to play the game because of the graphics, fine. That's fine, right? I mean, if that is your turnoff, that's fine. But just understand it. Understand what it is. Understand the situation. This is not Rockstar or Activision making a game. This is like a half a dozen people developing a video game, probably not getting paid hardly anything to do it.
And when you have one of the developers creating graphics, that's a scary thing.
Yeah, but that's the reality.
I've heard Joel say, "Oh, I made this graphic or I did this," and it's like, "Oh, okay."
And Joel's a programmer, but that's the reality of that's the reality of it. And the graphics are improving. I mean, that's if you haven't played Alpha 18, you can't make a statement that the graphics haven't improved, because Alpha 18 was a huge they redid every single icon in the game, which is huge, which is absolutely huge.
Well, and they did rework like the trees, and they have people that are doing things. It's just, you're not going to see, they can't rework the whole game. I think it was last patch that they started adding on some graphics people. So I think you'll start to see it over the next couple alphas, that they'll be improving the graphics each time a little bit in different ways. I assume they probably had them working on those icons for this patch, redoing every single icon. And, there's just, I think they're tasking it out.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Head Neophyte is saying, don't care if the graphics are rubbish. I need good story, good mechanics, and a really good reason to play. Yeah, and I think 7 Days to Die fits that bill. It's not the prettiest. It's not the most visually stimulating game in the world. But I think, my personal opinion, is that their gameplay, their mechanics, for the most part, allows that to just kind of, in my opinion, go off to the side, not be a concern.
Yeah.
If the mechanic, I mean, look at the polar opposite, right? If you want to sit here and say this game has got crazy graphical issues, I won't play it. Let's look at the other example. Miscreated is by far one of the prettiest games in this genre that is not made by a major studio. The game looks beautiful, but the mechanics suck. All the mechanics suck. The driving, the base building, it sucks. The inventory management, they blow.
No.
So, and the question is, and there's 300 people playing Miscreated and a couple thousand playing 7 Days to Die. So let's put a hold on that and say, where are the players? Where would they rather have their time spent? Clearly with the mechanics, because there's 20 times the people playing 7 Days to Die that are playing Miscreated. That's just the reality of the situation. It's not a knock on Miscreated. It's the truth. They know it. They're working to rectify that. They're working really hard to do it, but it's the truth. So,
well, that's, PH is bringing up something I've said a million times. First of all, 7 Days to Die is on Unity, which is much more flexible, gives them the ability to make a game that has the mechanics to do whatever they want it to do, right? And then you have CryEngine, where, as we've seen, is like shackles.
Yeah.
You just have you're unable to go through and really create this game that does whatever you want. I mean, I think what they've done in 7 days is make a game that does whatever they want it to do. I mean, they've kind of left all the rules broken. They broke a lot of the way things worked in survival games in Miscreated. Or sorry, in 7 Days to Die.
I want to thank Valp1 for hitting us with the 10-month free subscription here on Twitch. Thank you, Valp. We appreciate it. So with the engine being aside, my point was not to do an apples-to-apples comparison, but as I said, better mechanics, worse graphics. That's 7 Days to Die. Miscreated, better graphics, worse mechanics. Where are the players playing the game, Brian?
Yeah, I mean, they're on 7 Days to Die, and I think that's where. Okay, so let's look at the example here, though. If Miscreated could turn around and improve the mechanics of their game,
it would be what people want.
Yes, 7 Days to Die for them. If they turned around and totally increased the graphics, I don't know that it would drastically improve their player base. People would be like, "Oh, that's cool. I like that."
It's a different style of game.
I think Miscreated is in a better spot to fix things because they have a beautiful world. They just need to make it playable.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be easy, but I think that they are in a better spot to kind of have a regrowth of players and really fix it. 7 days, I think you'll just have it to where it looks nicer, but I don't know that they're going to make a ton more sales from this point out. I mean, they've got a lot of people that have purchased it. I think the people that are into that style of game play it regardless of the graphics. I don't know that they're going to pick up a ton more people.
Which game is that? Miscreated or 7?
7 days. I don't know that they'd be able to pick up, even if they made the graphics beautiful. I don't know that it would make that many more new players start. I think the people that are into that type of survival game play it already and they don't care.
Yeah, and that's the one thing to note about all of these games is the H1Z1 had a feel. Miscreated has a feel. 7 Days to Die has a feel. They all have different feels. 7 Days to Die, Miscreated, while looking at a spec sheet, right, looking at bullet points of what the games feature, you'd go, oh, these are relatively similar. These are pretty close. Playing them, they're nothing. They don't feel the same at all. I mean, 7 Days to Die feels, it's a lot more arcadey in my opinion. It allows for a lot more. It's more of a co-op game. It allows more player interactions with each other. While Miscreated, on the other hand, is a darker, grungier, kind of scarier game with the graphics and how the lighting works in that game. So they're just two totally different games. But while I hope and I do believe that the graphics will get better on 7 Days to Die, to this point, in my opinion, for me, and if I was giving a recommendation, it would not be a deal killer.
Yeah,
plain and simple.
And Miscreated, I mean, with their new expansion, so far what I've heard about is them coming out with, just new maps and things. I haven't heard so much, hey, we're reworking the system. They did do snapping in their last update, so they are working on the building system, but that doesn't seem to be their focus. I'm just hoping that they're keeping quiet some of the improvements that they're going to be making to the systems, and then with this new map, put it out there and see if people take to it. Put out the new map with improved mechanics, with better base building, whatever other things they might want to add into it. I think that would be awesome, but still, they're going to be struggling with trying to do all this in CryEngine, and almost every CryEngine game that we've followed has failed.
Yeah.
There's very few that have made it. I mean, we just have watched CryEngine after CryEngine game just go away or say we can't do it. So I don't know. I mean, Miscreated is in a crazy spot. They have all the position to be able to fix it, but they've got a lot they're going to have to decide, is it worth it?
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see.
So,
and Head Neophyte, thank you for your 4th month. So that was a Twitch Prime sub.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. So with that being the case, that is that's 7 Days to Die. We've got some Miscreated news. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. I'll speak for you, Brian. Highly recommend the latest experimental version, Alpha 18 of 7 Days to Die. That's kind of the bookmark on that. With that being the case, we're still in our intro segment of the show here. We got to talk about what we're playing for this game of the week coming up this Friday night. And we've got a lot of news to talk about, and we're going to play this game. I don't think I told you this. We're going to play some Fortnite, Brian. We've got a big update, a lot of news to talk about with them. We'll get to that later on in the program, but we are going to give the new Fortnite update a try. So hopefully you'll join us for that. We'd love to have you. Free-to-play game. A lot of new stuff. We'll talk about that here in a little while, and we'll get to that here Friday night. Looking forward to it.
Use our code infection-podcast. Anyways.
We don't have a code in the Fortnite store?
Yeah, we do.
No, we have a code in the Epic store. I don't believe those are synonymous.
I think you can get them in. I think you can. Can't you order V-Bucks through the Epic store?
I don't know about. Well, yeah, no,
well, somebody should try it.
There's a creator code, and then there's another code. Do we? Is that the same thing?
I don't know. I haven't bought V-Bucks before, so.
Well, it sounds like this is a learning experience. Will you buy some and report back to us for next week?
Well, how about I'll find out while we're going here through the show. I'll go through the process up to the pay point. How about that?
Okay. This is okay. Now I do have a question for you. I know you have been pushed by our good friend, Landgun, to try Call of Duty Mobile. So can you give us a quick summary report on your experience with Call of Duty Mobile, and does it vary at all from what you heard from me last week?
Okay, so yeah, yesterday I installed and played a number of games of Call of Duty Mobile, and it worked very well. It felt like Call of Duty, as far as as much as it could for a mobile. And in the beginning, you just slaughter people in the very beginning. Got it to where I was in the kind of the unlocked tiers, to where you have level 50s and 60s and everything with you, and it became more of a challenging game. I played it on my tablet and I played it on my phone to see the difference between the two. Personally, I preferred my phone because it was easier to aim, less screen space to have to drag your fingers, because that is the downside of playing on a large device, is you're using the screen as your controller. So I found that the phone was easier, and I could do faster turns and things on the phone. But as far as the mechanics, they're pushing you to buy. That was one thing that every time I load it up, it's like 6 screens that I have to X out that say, buy this, get this. So they're 100% pushing for you to purchase. And it is very tempting. One thing I noticed is you've got this stupid gun that you have in the beginning, but then they're like, oh, but if you pay this, you could have this really cool gun, which that kind of feels like a pay to win in a way, because at least in the initial stages, once you get to the max levels, I'm sure it's a progression thing of when you get closer to level 60, whatever, those guns are probably stupid and they don't really mean anything. But in the early levels, it's a way that you could really jump up. So I don't know. I had fun with it. I played it a little bit this afternoon too. Played a couple games on my phone, and we didn't get a chance to play. We're going to play as a group today. We didn't get a chance to do that, but that's one thing I'd be interested in, is doing the multiplayer with people, and having a little coordination. I didn't use the voice chat or anything, but it seemed to work. It seemed to work pretty well.
Gotcha. So you were tempted by the.
I was because they pulled up, and it's like some crazy gun, because I'm leveling up each gun, my weapon, and I'm leveling up and adding all the mods to it, and then they're like, oh, but you could buy this and it would be a gun that's already has everything, which kind of makes me like, that's stupid that they would do that. But I guess on a mobile game, what's the difference?
I mean, I don't know. I feel like I'm sitting here, and Brian's, playing his game, and just, what is it? Oh, look at that little slot machine action going on there, Brian.
Except for it wasn't really lottery, because you're pretty much buying, from what I could tell. I didn't try to do it. It seemed like you were buying the actual item.
Probably.
Was it a list of possible items? I don't know.
I didn't pay
I think
attention.
there were different packs. That thing is, I think. Okay, so they also have all these things you can purchase. Then they have a season pass as well. So like they're stacking on, and what they do is after a match ends, it's like, oh, you can get this one little wimpy green item, or if you had the season pass, you would get like in a list 5 other items that are all gold and everything else. And so they are pushing to squeeze some money out of people. So it'll be interesting to see how people take to it.
Well, and as a mobile game, as a free-to-play mobile game, I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, I know people want to always criticize mobile transactions and stuff like that. For a free game on mobile, do you really have a gripe? I mean, can you have a gripe? I mean, how do you expect a company to operate?
I didn't see people slaughtering me with paid weapons. That's
because Call of Duty isn't made like that. I mean, you play Call of Duty on your console, it's the same system, right? The best gun is not 1,000 times better than the starter gun you have. That's not how the game scales, because nobody at an early level would ever be able to play. Some guns may have higher damage, but they're all relatively balanced. I mean, you don't have these crazy laser rifles that you can pay for, and then everybody else has got a freaking musket that they're loading ammo into with the black powder into every time to shoot. It's just not how. It's not like that. So, Zombie says COD comes out this weekend. No, it comes out the 25th. Right, it's next weekend. I mean, hold on. Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I thought
November. Hold on. Release date.
Yeah, it's next week. It's next week. It's the 25th. I'm almost positive. Yeah, let me let's see. Call of Duty. Yeah, October 25th. Next week. That'll be game of the week next week. See, thanks, Zombie. You're just sitting here, sabotage. See, this is the point. We'll read anything in chat. Just post
Fake
it in
news.
chat. Post it in chat, and we'll probably read it on the show. You can join us here live, 7 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday night. All right, so there's your COD Mobile Report. Still, we'll highly recommend you check that out as well, especially if you're a COD fan, COD fanatic.
I mean, it has that feel. It has the COD feel.
Isn't it weird, though? Like, you actually have played a lot of other mobile games. Is this the most real mobile game that you've ever played? That's got the feel of like a real game?
This and Vainglory for me were probably the two that felt most like they didn't feel like a mobile game when you're playing them. Of course, the aiming is the only thing. Aiming on the screen is the only thing that you kind of work around that makes it feel like a mobile game. As far as the game, how the game actually runs, though, so if you were able to have some sort of little, like we mentioned last week, some sort of little controllers on your phone, like little knobs or something, that would take that out and it would just totally feel like a normal game.
Yeah, and at that point, my recommendation would play regular Call of Duty, right? If you're
I was saying, if you're on the road, and you're doing, even if they were like little, not anything.
Buy a Switch.
I don't like that.
That's the whole point.
Yeah, but well, and the thing is, I don't think you can install this on a Switch.
No, I mean true.
Because my nephew, I have a Switch out there, and I asked Lance because I talked to, or Landgun, we did talk. Not out him here.
Don't want to out him.
I was talking to him and I had the Switch sitting there and I was like, I wonder if I can, and I don't think you can install it on there. So
no, probably not. But when in Rome. All right. Thank you, Brian, for that little report. I was curious to see what you, as you're kind of being like a newer Call of Duty player, what your opinions and thoughts were on that. Now, when I first opened the show notes today, by the way, thank you for getting the right date and show episode on there so I didn't stumble over myself. Yeah, appreciate that. I noticed you, Brian, you had a lot of stuff in here about China. And there's been a lot of stuff going on this week. We had a long conversation about it last week, and I have a feeling we're going to have another long conversation about it today. For a quick ground laying thing for everybody, let's kind of cover what's been going on here the past couple of weeks. I talked to somebody in our Discord Friday night that was kind of still unsure what was going on. Hong Kong, mass protests against China's communist control over Hong Kong. That's what's going on. You've got people that are pro-Hong Kong. You've got people that are pro-China. For people that don't know, China is one of the largest economies in the world. A lot of our products come from China. China has a lot of influence over things in the United States and the rest of the world. Most things you buy say made in China. Big industry over in China. So you've got a lot of these companies, both sports groups and franchises like the NBA. You've got video game companies that we talked about last week like Blizzard. And then you've got politicians and other companies doing their things. And it's pretty much jumped into this big mess of everybody kind of agreeing that the Chinese government has too much control over what the rest of the world does, which is something that
it's amazing how, and as I said last week, I mean, it's amazing how this issue's all of a sudden popped up. It's not like it's been said a million times.
Yeah,
in the past couple of years
by the president of the U.S. So with that being the case, again, we're not a political show, but there's a lot of gaming ramifications here, so we're not going to talk about political side of it as much as possible. What went on this week? The big controversy last week was Blizzard suspending for 1 year a Hearthstone player for making a pro-Hong Kong protest statement on a Blizzard sanctioned event. What's been going on with all that?
Well, so the issue is this guy, first of all, they took his title away because he won. They took away all the money that he had received, and they banned him for a year. And so, and this was purely because he showed an affiliation with Hong Kong. And this was, the people all of a sudden are like, wait, what?
Wait, to be fair, that Blizzard's claim was that it was against their terms that their pro players signed, which is bringing Blizzard into a controversial situation.
And that is true. So on Blizzard's side, they were following their rules. Now, we have seen plenty of times other things where if they're talking about political, for instance, PH, I think, posted some pictures in our Discord of things, politics that are directly related to Blizzard games where they're just throwing them in your face. But because they happen to agree with those politics internally, they really let those go. And they just say, oh, it's fine, right? That's something that we as a company agree with. Now, if you're going to make a statement, do the players have to check and see if you happen to agree with them before they make a statement on air? Because there are, I mean, for certain political views, they actually have the propaganda, you could call it, all over their tournament. The tournament's in, is to promote that specific thing, but that is a political view. Not everybody agrees with it. So how is a player supposed to know what is the magical whitelist of what they're allowed to say and what is not appropriate? Is it purely based on political party? Are they how are they supposed to know this? And I think if they're going to say that they don't want any kind of politics in there, and you know what, they need to get out of all the politics and quit pushing. If it's controversial in politics, say we don't have an opinion on that, because you are pretty much forcing a number of employees that may not agree with you to kind of accept that stance and not say anything.
I think what we're going towards, and Brian, I think we've shot away from a lot of this stuff. We have been very clear with our stance on politics in video games since the start. We have always been against video game companies, developers, community managers, and other people that promote either their online social media profiles or their pages or whatever as sources of information for who they work for or for a game or whatever it may be, into a political stomping ground. I have my personal opinions. They vary from your personal opinions, Brian. Everybody listening to this podcast right now, you all have differing opinions. Fine and dandy. If you check our Infection Podcast Twitter account, guess what you don't find? Brian and I talking about politics, because it's not the time and place. And we use our personal Twitter accounts to do whatever. We're not against people having an opinion. What we're against is video game companies, technology companies, wink, wink, CNET and every other freaking tech blog in 2019, taking politics and dragging their ideological beliefs and their political standings into video games, technology, just nerd culture, everything. And I'm hoping that maybe the silver lining in this whole China versus pro Hong Kong protesters thing breaks the whole industry from talking about politics at all, because that's what we've been talking about now for freaking 5 years. That's what we've been
asking for. We've been asking for it the whole time. I mean, with Daybreak, we ran into this constantly, where all of a sudden all these employees are pushing a political view, and it's like, I really don't care. Like, the reason that I follow your account is because I want to know about your game you're making.
Well, and because you post updates about your game.
And because you choose to post official game things related to your company. That's the source where you have to go to. And then you're mixing in either Bitcoin or some political stupid thing. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and so the companies, if they really wanted to be serious about this, say, all right, you have a business account where it's not your personal opinions. Because instead, Daybreak said, well, no, we're going to solve this by having you put in your description of your Twitter account that this is my opinion and my opinion alone.
Yeah, everybody posts
Thank you very much, Daybreak. That's great. You really helped us out a lot. And so, but of course, it wasn't the Daybreak CEO, previous CEO Smedley. That didn't count when he said his opinion on his Twitter account.
Yeah, they fired him.
You guys fired him for that, and look what happened to your company. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So I just think that if this, because politics has been ingrained in big business here for years now, since the late 90s, early 2000s, they have allowed politics to just totally become hand in hand, and it's certain politics. It's not politics in general, but they've allowed them to just be totally integrated into businesses. And at PAX, we could 100% say politics has been ingrained into PAX. And we almost talked a little bit about it right before PAX with all the things of certain people being not allowed to speak because they don't happen to agree with them politically.
Yeah.
How does a convention have a political stance? That's what I first want to know. Why do they have a political stance when it's supposed to be about video gaming? How about you just say we don't want any political talk at ours? Well, they'd have to get rid of a whole room at that place if they wanted to get rid of all political stances. So I just think that the whole gaming industry has put itself in a very bad spot because now they are stuck between money and the feel good. Oh, well, freedom, people's freedom. Okay. Well, which there is one side that's good and there's one side that's money. Which one are you going to choose? And all of a sudden they're like, we don't know what to do
100% of the time because that's what business
and that's
does.
what they've been doing. And now people are pissed. Well, how about, if you truly, money was kind of why they went into some of the politics before. Like they just need to step out and say, you know what? No more politics.
Yeah.
When you come to work, we don't need to hear about your politics. I don't care who you voted for. It's none of our business.
Are you pro or against Brexit? It's just irrelevant.
It doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter when you walk into the job. And you know what? Tell your employees, just like they're not supposed to sexually harass each other, tell them not to politically harass each other either. It's not don't put who you voted for on your cubicle. It doesn't need to be there. Also, I don't need to know who you're sleeping with. Not my business at your work. I know that's an incredibly horrific thing to say, but it's not my business who you sleep with when I go to work.
Unless you're sleeping with your coworkers, yeah.
I mean, if you're sleeping with coworkers, your company may have an issue with that. But that's where you'll sign something that actually says that.
So,
but that's just frustrating.
Yes, it is very frustrating. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 10 articles in the show notes. If you have been a little out of the loop on what's going on with the whole China, Blizzard, Activate, with all these games, if you've been out of the loop on that for the past couple of weeks, we've got a whole bunch of links in our show notes. Most of them are either concise articles or tweets that do good summaries. So if you're more interested in what exactly is going on, more down to the nitty gritty, I told Brian in the pre-show when we were on the stream for it, I said, I just don't want to talk about it. I mean, my entire YouTube subscription box is people in the video game industry talking about China. And I'm just over it. Can we get back to talking about video games?
Like, and that's the thing. That's why I laid them all out there because there's so much, of course they jump on the bandwagon and now, every other article is about this, but I put them all out there, kind of put generally what it was regarding, but I didn't really break it down because I figured we weren't going to go into the whole thing. So.
Yeah. Because I mean, I have no interest. And I assume most of our listeners want to hear about video games and updates and news and not, oh, I'm for China or, oh, I'm for Hong Kong and I like this, I like that. I mean, it's just nobody wants to hear that.
There's one thing I saw in there, and I think, of course, video gamers, I think that they're going to do a good job of kind of taking advantage of the system. I think they figured out how China responds. And so they're making Mei from Overwatch a meme in the whole protest thing. So they're putting her on and saying, support Hong Kong.
Yep.
And they're putting a picture of Mei.
Yep. Trying to get
just to put some pressure on Blizzard to say, all right, you're going to bend over backwards. We're going to make it so you're going to either be banned or you're going to have to get rid of one of the favorite characters in there or change her, do something. Yeah, but they're putting Mei all over there because, China's going to be like, no, now we can't have Mei because, she's used as a face.
Well, and again, whose fault is that? Blizzard.
Yep.
Again, I don't fault Blizz. Again, I don't fault any of these companies for what they have or haven't done because business is business. And if you don't understand it, I can recommend some, hit me up offline. I'll explain it to you if you want, or I can recommend some podcasts that explain it. There's a whole bunch of other stuff going on here that we will not ever get into on this program because it is not relevant. So with that being the case, let's move on to, let's talk about Fortnite.
Okay.
So their season 10 just ended on Saturday. And with that being said, typically after... Go ahead.
One thing you might want to do, start playing that video, because without any audio in the background, because it's just got kind of music and it's silent, but it is somewhat longer. But let's have that play, because I think about the time we get to, and I put a timestamp in there to jump past the thing in the beginning.
All right.
But I think that as we speak through this, it will be about the point where we could explain what's going on.
All right. So their season 10 ended on Saturday. I think it was 2:00 Eastern when this happened, and Fortnite has become kind of the I'm going to call it the staple for doing big game-wide, server-wide synchronized changes. So they've done it in the past with maps. They've opened up those rifts throughout the world, and it happens across everybody's server and everybody's game at the exact same time. They did it with half the world going underwater. They do all this stuff together, and the result is pretty amazing when you look at it, because you've got hundreds of thousands of connected players all experiencing what you're seeing on the screen right now. Sorry for you audio listeners. What you're experiencing on the screen right now, which is essentially the end of the world. This giant rocket crashes into the map and opens up, or a whole bunch of these rockets start crashing into the map and open up a huge black hole, which therefore sucks in the entire game, all of the players, all of the assets, and the entire map. And from that point, this was at 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturday that this happened. From then until 4:00 in the morning Eastern this morning on Tuesday, anytime you opened Fortnite, all you saw was a black screen with a little pulsing black hole in the middle. That was it. So they did this crazy server-wide update that essentially nuked their entire game.
Yeah.
And took their entire game offline.
It was taking advantage of kind of lore that they've been unraveling over many updates, as far as these different ports or portals and rifts and things like that. And you can see they all came together. And if you're looking at, for people that are watching, we'll explain this for the listeners. But this giant rocket pretty much then that comes out of one of the rifts, hits the center of the map. There's some sort of a field around it.
Yeah, blast radius.
All the players are kind of being floated out away from the map. And then at this point, the giant meteor starts to come down onto the map. It intersects with this giant, whatever it is, and then eats the whole map. I mean, it becomes that black hole that people were seeing. So this is one way and people weren't expecting this. People didn't know what was going to happen. They're in game watching this, and the whole thing just pretty much swallows the existing map up. Because I saw people speculating when it was happening live, saying, "Oh, does this mean that like when it kind of ate up the meteor? Oh, does this mean we're just keeping the same map? Like, what's going on?" And then at the very end, everything gets swallowed into the black hole, and then you're presented that you have a new map.
Yes. So
which they didn't find out about until pretty much today.
Yeah. So before there's a long trailer here that we'll show here in a minute. But what I kind of want to talk to you about, Brian, is from a PR standpoint and then from a developer standpoint. So from the PR standpoint, they called it Fortnite the End. That was this is the end. This is the end. And everybody said, "Oh, the game is over." Now, let's be frank. This game is making millions of dollars a year. So ending it is not really a feasible thing to do. So with that being the case, this charade went on a little too long. I had the stream open on my side monitor almost all day Saturday, expecting something to happen at some point, and it didn't. I checked on it.
I think that there was an issue. I personally, I think that it wasn't supposed to be downloaded. I think that they had a kind of like a migration issue or some sort of issue transitioning to the new map or something, because I don't know why they would have been down that long.
Yeah, because it was like it was just an odd amount of time, and it came back up around 4:00 Eastern this morning. And it was a very good PR event because it sucked a whole bunch of people in. Everybody was tweeting about it. It was all over Facebook and all over Twitter. It was all over Twitch. I mean, there was like millions of people watching concurrently on Twitch when this was going on. So a great PR event by Fortnite. Now I don't really know what I was expecting, but my expectations really weren't met. They released a new map. And that's cool, but 2 days of everything being sucked up to release a new map.
That's what I thought was weird. I felt that downtime was just odd.
Right, like if it was an hour, it would have been cool. Like it goes down at 2:00 and then,
or even if it was
3:00.
6 hours. Like if you did 6 hours, for the time of
the
doing
same
whatever
night,
transition, switching servers, something, and then have it come back up. But the amount of time it was down was just kind of odd. I just don't know why they would do that for that long.
A couple of hours would have been cool. People still would have been like, kind of like, oh, what's going to happen? All this crazy stuff about it. But like by yesterday, I was like, who the hell cares? Like, I'm not, what am I going to sit here and watch this thing until they decide to release it?
Now, since people were sitting there for so long, they tried a lot of different things. One interesting thing that they found is that you could enter the Konami code on that black hole screen, and it would actually bring up a video game. So there's a little video that shows.
What is the Konami code for all of the people that aren't familiar with that term?
So this is up, down, left, right, BA. I think
something like that.
I did BA. But if you would have entered that, this is from Contra. It was a code that you could enter, but it would bring up this kind of Space Invaders game that you could play, and I guess kind of spend some of the time. So I don't know. Twitter. I guess they expected this to be up for a while, so people would try everything while they're sitting there bored.
I freaking hate Twitter. I mean, the videos never play right on Twitter. I mean, what a joke.
So yeah, you can see it's something that kind of threw together. It works. But another thing that happened, at least from what I've seen, is that a set of numbers showed up on the screen that was from what we can tell, a Google Maps location. And it was just a location with a lot of crabs.
Well, that was one of the numbers. Those numbers got decoded eventually to like hex or some other they were binary or hex. They converted them, and it ended up being some more of that lore. I can't even get this Twitter video to close now. I mean, Jesus Christ. So there we go. Yeah. So they converted that. They did a lot of that lore stuff that this game has lacked, and every BR lacks because they're not store games. So there was a bit of a cryptic message that they were doing.
And there were things where they had mentioned, if you did track the lore, it talks about them trying to be able to do this to the rifts and to make something happen. Like it's all in the lore. Pretty much what you're seeing, what you saw play out, is in the lore of the game, and it's been something that's been unraveled slowly over time.
Yeah. So with that being the case, let's go ahead and show this trailer and it's officially called Fortnite Chapter 2. People are expecting Fortnite 2. No, it's Fortnite Chapter 2. It includes a new map and a bunch of other things. So watch this trailer, and then we'll discuss a little bit right after this. All right, so there it is in all of its glory. Their trailer for Fortnite Chapter 2, their new map. Here's a kind of a more in-depth, detailed version of it. Pull up on the screen here, and they've got some of the same names for some of the POIs. And if you look at it quick, the big difference is in the middle now. There's an island with an eye of water around it, and then little streams that cut around the rest of the map. So that's one of the bigger changes in there. They've added boats to the game, which is a big change as well. A lot more water. This is kind of reminds me of ROE a little bit, where the water and boats are kind of a big mechanic. Same thing with PUBG. Those can play in and end up being a large part of the game. So here it is. New map.
Yep.
Huge downtime for this. And we're going to try it out Friday night. Free game. It's a battle royale. If you like it, great. If you don't like it, I don't really care. Don't play. I mean, it is what it is. So,
well, that's one thing I don't know if people notice. Like, there wasn't swimming before. Everything was
land.
Well, it was H1Z1. Well, they had water, but you could run it like H1Z1. So now they have swimming, fishing, motorboats. One thing they did mention is that they have simplified it. Also, you may have noticed he jumped out of a hay bale or a haystack. They have that now where you can jump out of dumpsters, you can jump out of haystacks, you can hide in those. You saw them blow up the gas station, gas tanks. They have explosive barrels. And then they made changes to the combat system. They've been trying to streamline the number of weapons, and then you can use resources at an upgrade bench to be able to improve your weapons. And you saw them fishing. You're fishing for weapons. I think you're fishing for items.
That's pretty cool.
So that is now. Also, there's a video for the battle pass. I think you saw in the video those characters. I think those are the battle pass skins that were in that original video. So, but this one is for Then there's another video for the battle pass.
Yeah, we just talk over this a little bit. You can see some of the different stuff in here. They show a lot of that. Yeah, definitely the fishing rods look to be a way to get weapons and whatnot. Now, what I find interesting, Brian, is a lot of people have been on the the numbers on Fortnite have dropped significantly. Now, to be fair, if you're going to talk about the numbers significantly dropping, you also need to look at the fact that these are some of the highest concurrent player numbers for any multiplayer game ever. So, with that being said, of course the numbers are falling. This is coming right at a time where you may be able to make the argument the game is kind of hurting. Right? The number in comparison to other games, it's got 1,000 times more players, but compared to their peak maybe a year ago, 16 months ago, 24 months ago, it may be it is a lot less. So do you think that this is
so USAF Zombie kind of has said something that I was going to hint at a little bit. First of all, the school year started.
Yeah.
At the same time when these things are dropping, kids are going back to school. That makes a difference.
Absolutely.
All the games, the BR games across the board have dropped. I don't know that if it's just that people are playing different styles of games right now. What are they playing though?
Well, how about they're just not playing BRs? And you got to remember, everybody playing these BR games aren't necessarily people that are going to switch to a Rust or a lot of these people started playing Fortnite, PUBG, and that's kind of what they play. We have a bunch of people in our group, Brian, that all they play is BRs.
Yeah. Well, and I just remember it started with PUBG bringing in a ton of new people to the BR market.
Actually, it started with H1Z1. Actually,
I don't know. That brought in a lot of Asians, but that didn't bring in. But that didn't necessarily bring in a lot of new American players.
Brian at infectionpodcast.com.
Yeah. But I think that PUBG was the one that really brought your average player. Like you'd be walking and you'd run into somebody who didn't really play PC games. And they were like, hey, I've been playing, even if it was the mobile version, they said I was playing that. And then Fortnite came around and everybody, your nephews and these little kids, everybody played it. Yeah. And so that one really brought it to, so there's a lot of people that's all the only game they really know is Fortnite. That's all they played. They brought them into the gaming and that's it.
So I think this obviously, as you would expect, is going to draw a boost in player numbers. The game, when did the Fortnite Battle Royale actually come out? It was late 2017, I think. It hasn't been out all that long in the grand scale of things that we've talked about on this program. So it's about time for a new map. There's been
it's been July 25th of 2017.
Okay, so earlier than I thought. Yeah, so July. So I mean, you're not talking about a game that's been out for 5 years. I do think a new map is probably a good move for them. It's been rumored.
Well,
it's been
they were
hinted.
able to design it to take advantage, because one thing they've been trying to figure out how to get people to be able to cross the map and move around the map quickly. They've been doing all these rifts and portals and things that you fly through the air with. And I think that now they're like, okay, well, let's put it so where you can pretty much get to various areas of the map or to the center with boats. They threw in boats into there. I think that you can see they have a road network that seems to go around the island. I think they're going to probably add more things and that are vehicles, ground vehicles. I think that I'm sure have a lot of things planned for content that will perfectly play into this map and the way that it works.
Well, I noticed
they were probably finding restrictions with the old map because it wasn't intended to do a lot of things that they ended up doing.
Absolutely. I noticed one thing. I saw a bunch of people online saying, "Oh, look at all this empty space." They left empty space like in the other map, they added a whole bunch of new POIs. So instead of them packing this map to the gills on launch, I can see just by looking at it quick about 3 areas where they're probably going to add another point of interest.
And they'll probably study the statistics.
Oh, absolutely.
And just watch everything and see how they're moving around the maps and doing everything and seeing where the dead spots are. And we're like, all right, well, we want to make it to where this part of the map is used more. Let's put a hot POI there. And then that'll make it more active. They don't want to put a POI next to an already hot spot. So I think that they're going to see where people tend to go, watch all the statistics, and then start manipulating the map from there.
Absolutely. So there it is. That's Fortnite. That's a new update, free to play. It's available in the Epic Game launcher, Epic Game Store. We are going to be playing it Friday night. I don't know if are you going to be around for that, Brian?
No, I'm actually out of town.
Oh, this freaking guy. Well, ladies and gentlemen of the podcast, your host, Nick, will absolutely be there to guide you through the wonderful and exhilarating game of Fortnite. So, thanks, Brian. We appreciate your help.
Yes, I will actually be driving at that point in time.
Where are you going?
I'm going to a retreat up
Oh.
in the mountains. So,
Do they have internet up there?
I really don't think so. That's why I don't think I'll be playing it on a tablet or anything like that.
Huh. Wow. A treat.
So, yeah,
Sounds
it's
like
actually something I did. I had planned before today, so
seems like
I'm
Brian's just
giving people rides, so I can't back out for Fortnite. I'm sorry. I'm giving 3 people a ride up there.
You got to tell them that you've got a hot date with the Slurpy Swamp in Fortnite.
Yeah. But that's what we call her anyways. Right?
Or the Sweaty Sands, whatever is your preference. Or the Dirty Docks, another one of my favorite locations.
I don't know how are these all so suggestive.
I'm just the Weeping Woods. I mean, what are you gonna do?
No.
All right. With that being, what about Pleasant Park? That's a good one as well. With that being the case, hopefully you'll join us for that 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll probably play a couple games of this. I'm not a big Fortnite fan. I'm just being honest. I'm not a huge Fortnite fan. I'm not very good at it. So we'll play a couple games and we might switch to something else. So if you're around Friday night, join us for a little while. We'll be playing that. We're going to be checking the new map. That's what we do here. We're going to try it, see if it's any decent, any good. I'll have a report for you next Friday. I don't love the game.
Yeah, they've changed some things up.
Yeah,
so
why not?
Be interesting to see how it feels.
Absolutely.
Are we ready to do the first game giveaway?
Absolutely.
Or do the game giveaway, the initial part?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and ! giveaway in chat. And we're doing 60 cans. So if you've been listening, we've been broadcasting over an hour now. So if you've been watching this, then you should have enough to enter this. I'm going to be giving away a copy of Finding Paradise. And this is it's first of all, very positive right now. It has overwhelmingly positive overall reviews on Steam. And it's a story-rich, great soundtrack, pixel graphics, 2D game. So if you're interested in that, it's from Freebird Games. Been out for almost 2 years now. came out in the very end of 2017, and it looks like a fun game. Has very good graphics, has a really good story. So if you're interested in that, exclamation point giveaway, and we'll give that away before the end of this show.
Yes, and that's another reason that you should be here live every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on Twitch. We co-stream on Mixer and on YouTube. Infection Podcast, going strong. Never missed an episode. 248, 58, how many episodes is it? 48. 248 weeks. Never missed an episode. All right, Brian, we've got a topic, a company that has kind of been out of the news for a while, but they are back in the news, and it's not for the best of things. This comes off the release of PlanetSide Arena. There is reportedly, according to an inside source at Massively Overpowered, another significant round of layoffs at Daybreak. This comes 3 weeks after PlanetSide Arena launch, which we talked about last week, has got atrocious numbers, like hundreds of people on a brand new free-to-play launch game. And they are doing some realignment. So the quote here that they issued they ended up issuing afterwards is, "We are taking steps to improve our business and to support our long-term vision for the existing franchises and development of new games. This will include a realignment of the company into separate franchise teams," which I find to be interesting, which will allow us to highlight their expertise, better showcase the games they work on, and ultimately provide tailored experiences for our players. Unfortunately, some employees were impacted by this effort, and we're going to do what we can to support them during this challenging time. As we've talked about in the past, this is not funny. These are people's lives. They have mortgages, kids. I mean, Christmas is not that far away. I mean, they're coming up to the holiday times. This is really shitty. It's always been. We've never been a fan of like, oh yay, people losing their job. No, that's. Say what you want about Daybreak. That's just not cool. You're a scumbag if you think like that. So this seems like this is what you have talked about extensively, Brian, that Daybreak is going to become the company of older games that companies are done with, want to push off their books. Daybreak will absorb them, maintain and manage their servers like they do with EverQuest, Batman Online, and a whole bunch of other games. And it appears that the realignment and the long-term vision and better showcasing games that people work on, which is indicating not new games, older games, is moving towards that vision.
Well, and so I think here they're also, in a way, kind of protecting their ones that maybe are self-sufficient, the ones that are paying for themselves, and breaking them up so that they can have the income and they can have all the financial responsibility on one corporation or LLC or however they're doing this. So, for instance, they have Dark Paw Games, Rogue Planet Games, Golden Age Studios. These are some of the ones that they're kind of splitting up, and they'll have their various games of like EverQuest, PlanetSide, DC Universe Online. They will split those off to where they're kind of in their own thing. And I guess that way, if you have a flop like, let's say, PlanetSide Arena, that it doesn't impact the financial stability of these other studios or these other games, which then become little studios. You can't pass the cost on. I'm assuming they are doing this to kind of protect possibly against bankruptcy, because maybe they see Daybreak going for bankruptcy here soon. If they really lost that much money on PlanetSide Arena, that's the only major reason I can really think of them doing this, is saying, all right, if we have it to where we owe a lot of money, we don't want it to where we have to sell off EverQuest, PlanetSide, or whatever they happen to be still making money on at the time. So it's kind of strange.
Do you think, I think personally that they're going to have to do some sort of financial restructuring, and that's typically what bankruptcy is it allows you to restructure.
I don't think
debts.
they're to the point of bankrupt. I don't think they're to the point of bankruptcy yet. I think that they're trying to get it to where these are separated enough. I don't know if they are truly in the red yet with Daybreak. I mean, they pretty much just laid off most of the PlanetSide Arena team, and hopefully they did it before they're really in the red, to where now they're making it to where I think they see that right now something like PlanetSide Arena put their other profitable things at risk. And I think they're trying to prevent that from being a possibility in the future. I think that the PlanetSide Arena barely released. I mean,
oh yeah,
and not only in time, but the thing barely released. They didn't do any promotion for it. It was supposed to come out a long time ago, and it was just a mess getting it out. And now it's a total failure. I think they're viewing that as, okay, something like this could pretty much kill our whole studio if we don't deal with this financially in the right way.
And that, so they've also applied for another company name. Dimensional Inc. Games was a trademark they filed for officially yesterday. Oh, not yesterday. October 11th would have been. So yeah, I think that you're absolutely right about that. It's going to have all their games do their own individual things. And this article does note something interesting. Again, this is over at massivelyop.com. It notes their, they call it a bizarrely obfuscated current ownership, which we've talked about a lot. Nobody even knows who really owns this company, or who is pulling the strings, or who is making the calls. There is no, who knows? Like, who knows who's actually in charge?
Well, I mean, so people were really upset over Russian ties, and now imagine if China owned most of it, then now they'd be upset about Chinese ties. And, it's just, I think that they are purposely covering it up, because I have a feeling that they, it's not American owned, and it's probably not someone who's friendly to the United States owning this company. And so I think they just say, it's better that nobody knows who actually owns this thing.
Yeah.
Because that seems to be what they've been. And now it's going to be even split and covered up even more, because there's all these little companies doing it.
Yeah. Obviously, I think it's pretty safe to say that the Daybreak Games company, the Daybreak name, is kind of tarnished.
And they're not going to be able to sell. Sony Online Entertainment was worth something. The name.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Daybreak has, since it started, has not presented itself well. It's been going downhill from the beginning, since they really split it up, and there's no value in the name.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's unfortunate. I saw a couple of people tweeting that we follow on Twitter on our Infection account that did lose their jobs. That sucks for them. Fortunately, the video game industry is ripe and hot for the job market. Almost everybody's hiring for new games. And hopefully all those folks will land on their feet. So, sucks. Bad news over at Daybreak, but I think everybody can say this is not a shock or a surprise. And I'm sure even the people at Daybreak knew this was coming.
I wouldn't show up to that company on a daily basis with confidence.
Well, and again, without, I'm not trying to disparage these people, but I mean, unless they are like locking these people in cages for hours a day and not letting them like actually see what's going on, I don't think anybody over there is like, yeah, everything's going great right now. I mean, it's clear that almost all of their current titles, minus maybe EverQuest, it is not doing great in terms of concurrent players. And most of these games are free to play, and the players that are playing for free buy packs, add-ons, loot boxes, whatever. They're not playing, they're not buying, we're not making money, we have a problem.
Yeah.
So it's not super surprising. It's just not super surprising. And I can't imagine the people at Daybreak were totally blindsided by this.
Yeah. And this is, I think we kind of called this as, not the specific thing of them splitting into, but I just said, how long are they going to be able to keep in business doing what they're doing? PlanetSide Arena cost them a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they will not make it. They're not going to make any return on that.
No, absolutely
any.
not. No.
I mean,
it is a net loss for the company. It's a write-off.
The worst investment you could possibly have made.
Total write-off. They'll be able to write off all the expenses on it.
Yeah. So that's just that. I think that was the dot on the end of the sentence for them.
Yeah.
And And this is them realizing that, all right, that was kind of our last chance. No one cares about our brand anymore. People really don't care. I mean, we haven't been putting out, we got lucky with the first one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Smedley surprised them. I think I mentioned this on the podcast a couple weeks ago. They did the guy who I talked to at PAX, who was was at the PR company for Sony Online, told me that Smedley did that in secret. He didn't even tell them he was doing H1Z1.
There were a couple people at Daybreak knew. No, it was not like a widely circulated project.
And that was the only thing that was their most successful title, was something that he couldn't even tell his management about, and make it public, because they probably would have said, no, that's not what we do. Well, that was the only thing that was really successful.
Yeah, it's a shame. It had a lot of, Daybreak as a company and a lot of their games had a lot of promise, lots of things that could have gone right. They didn't. That's what happens in business. That's what happens in games.
And years of mismanagement.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, since Smedley left, I would confidently say that I feel like Smedley was probably good at managing, keeping people on task, and he seemed to deliver on a product. Since he left, and someone mentioned it in chat a few minutes ago, PH, that since he left, like, it was just bad decision, nonstop. So it's just frustrating. But we would get frustrated with every single one of those decisions as we reported on them in our podcast and say, like, why are they doing this? This doesn't make any sense. And I think that we could say we saw it coming. And it's just sad that people that work there felt like they didn't have the ability to actually make a change and to turn it around.
I want to bring up a comment from our old time friend, Sir Bravo PT's joining us in chat tonight. Hopefully you're doing well, my man. He says they never learn to hear from the player base. They never learned to hear from the right player base. Daybreak was always listening to what people had to say. The problem is they were only hearing what the worst people had to say. They were only hearing a lot of the toxic community members, what they had to say. I don't think they were. I don't remember many of their decisions. I don't remember many of those decisions. Us going, oh, that's a good decision, and I would say our opinions. I'll make us holier than thou, Brian. I would say our opinions, for the most part, with our amount of time and our resource pool, our players, our friends, the people we played video games with, probably had a good idea of what we thought we wanted. And we felt time after time with Daybreak and H1Z1 and then H1Z1 King of the Kill and Just Survive that they were doing things that we never really thought were good ideas. Not that we could have, not that we were right on everything, but I thought we had a pretty good grasp and a pretty good vision. And they just, every time it was like, oh, I don't know why they would want to do that, or that's stupid, or we don't like that. So they just listened to the wrong people. And who's to blame? Obviously, Daybreak's got some blame, but as UGX Vibe is saying, they kissed Reddit's ass, and the players themselves recommending terrible ideas on a whim and being emotional are the ones that, in some regard, ruin the game as well. So, that's the reality of it. We're not going to, it's ding dong, the witch is dead. I mean, it's here. It's the end. So, for people that are hoping that Just Survive is going to make a comeback, I mean, don't go and buy a lottery ticket if you're still banking on the fact of Just Survive making a comeback. Don't go play in traffic either. Probably not a safe idea. I did see some people talking about how these Just Survive, there's a couple of people that are doing Just Survive remake projects, how this may or may not affect them depending on what Daybreak as a company does. And if they bankruptcy, if they split, how they divvy up their assets. So that could be something interesting to keep an eye on. And we'll do that here over the next couple of weeks. And as we learn more, we will bring that to you. I do want to thank our buddy Gadlaw for sending us a tweet about this. Fortunately, I had seen it, but not long before he tweeted me, like 15 minutes before I saw the thing, and then he tweeted me. So thanks to Gadlaw for sending us that tweet. We appreciate it. And if you ever see news or an article or updates or a tweet from somebody that is of relevance, please tweet us at InfectionCast, CAST, and let us know. His title was Death Royale Time. So he knew what was going on. So thanks, Galar, for that. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. All right. Well, let's talk about a product that we mentioned 6 months ago in the last year, and that's the Google Stadia. They're releasing the Founders Edition, is launching on November 19th. And so that's something where, so this, first of all, is in a way a streaming service for games. Also, it is a hosting service for games. So if you want to be able to, one thing we talk about quite a bit on here are the limitations of having things playing over the internet with connections. Also, the limitations of things running on a single server. You have companies that are trying to release products that are supposedly going to get around this. But this is the way that I think a lot of developers are going to start doing, especially with games not necessarily being as tied to a single platform as they used to be. You got consoles and PCs that are kind of merging into the same build now. They're actually releasing games that are identical across all of them, but they're going to be having this to where you can play, for instance, Red Dead Redemption 2 from your phone to a PC, anywhere that is able to install this app. You can stream this, and it will play all these different games that are on there. So it's going to be $10 a month for this service, and that's something that they'll have two different editions: the Founder Edition and then the Premier Edition, because the one that they had before was sold out, and so now you can go on there, set up an account, and be able to get for $10 a month. Now, the Pro Net members additional games for free. So it says the Stadia Pro subscriptions, net members additional games for free, starting with Destiny 2, the collection. Other benefits include 4K streaming at 60 frames and 5.1 surround, and then you get game discounts. So it's not a service where you just get a ton of games for one flat rate.
It's not Game Pass.
No, it's not a Game Pass, but it's a service where you can get games and then you can play them. So,
I actually had a conversation with one of my coworkers yesterday about this, so we were chatting about Stadia. So I'll pose this to you, Brian. You've had a chance to see it. You've had a chance to see it up close. We saw it at PAX. Wouldn't talk to us, by the way. Thanks, Google. We sent an email, press@google.com, never got a response. You've read all about it. You're as big of an enthusiast as there is. You pulling the trigger? Are you interested? Are you not interested? Because personally, I'm indifferent. I don't really care. This is not my cup of tea.
So for me, it's something where I think this is necessary for the industry as far as getting servers hosted on a place where you can kind of offload some of the work on the back end. And that's something I think that they're going to have to work on. That we've been noticing. I mean, AI and all these things are happening. People are wanting massive worlds. They're wanting, and also people are wanting to play very complicated. Like you had brought up in the very beginning, I'd played Call of Duty on the mobile. People are wanting very complicated games on a mobile device now.
Yeah.
And it's going to get harder and harder to get a game that feels like a console game, that feels like a PC game to work. I think they did a good job with the Call of Duty, but there are probably things that they're really limiting and not doing that you don't notice that make it different than the original Call of Duty. That if they were to do something like this to where you're not really playing it on the phone, you're just seeing the screen of it, they'd be able to do more. They'd be able to have smarter AI. They'd be able to have more effects happening because a lot of the like explosions and just things, your phone isn't really capable of doing that.
Okay. Agreed, 100%. I agree with everything you say. I read a couple of these articles about Stadia, and people are talking about you can play games on your phone. Who wants to actually play a game on their phone? Like who? I know. Here's
China. China does.
Here's the no political talk on the podcast, Brian. I'm gonna have to ban you.
Saying.
What was it? Was it Blizzard that did the? You guys have phones, or was that?
That was
Was it for Dota? Yeah, I don't remember who it was for, but
no, it was for what's the one that used to be an overhead view?
Was it
the
Hearthstone?
dungeon crawler?
No, Dota.
No, it's a dungeon crawler. No, Diablo.
Oh, Diablo. Yeah, Diablo. So, without making the Diablo, you guys have phones joke, I don't want to play a game on my phone. Yeah. I can understand the streaming aspect of it. And Nissan Communications says, like, the same people who watch movies on their phone. Like, Nick, I don't watch movies on my phone. I don't watch a... No. Now, I'll tell you what I have started doing as of late, watching some media on my phone. Before I go to bed, I will watch a YouTube video or two. It's not long form. The videos are 5 to, call it 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes max. And that's it. I'm not watching a documentary or a like a long form series or a TV show or anything like that. Well, I'm literally watching short form content, and that works. But I can tell you what, I am not going to sit in bed and play Red Dead Redemption 2 or Cyberpunk 2077 streaming to my phone when I have a 45-inch TV and a 4-computer monitor in every video game system under the sun. This is such a weird product. And
okay, but wait. Let's look at the next. One thing with Google is you can't look at the initial thing that they're doing. You have to look at what's next.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You're going to get us banned. You can't show that hand signal.
So
the thing is you're not looking at what's next. Where are they going with this? With everything they do, there's always a what's next. Google Plus. It was because of another thing, right? They with Hangouts, they were testing video streaming technology for businesses. With this, I think that it isn't the Stadia as you see it. The point is not for you to be able to play on your phone. I think what the point is for you to get a generic device similar to like the Fire TV, where you can use a service connecting it to whatever hardware that you put a controller up to it, and you can play without having an Xbox, without having a PS4, and without having a PC, that you can play a fully powered game on your television, and you can you can have your kids. It's getting them out of the lock of PlayStation and the lock of Xbox, and being able to provide a service where they don't have to come up with ridiculous hardware. They come up with very lightweight hardware. You have controllers and everything, but you're playing exactly the same as if you bought your kid a console or you were playing on a computer. So I think it's them getting away from it. I think that's something like the Switch. The Switch is a perfect example. Something you can dock, and there you go. You have a pretty decent gaming machine to connect it to your TV without having a crazy expensive device.
So Google has done a good ploy to get people. The first people that play Stadia are not going to be people that just sign up for a monthly subscription. It costs $130. You get a controller. You get a Chromecast Ultra, which is like an $80 or $90 device. You get 3 months of Stadia Pro, so you only get a 3-month subscription, and then you get a 3-month buddy pass to give to a friend. And then from there on, the price will go, the regular subscription will come in, which is $10 a month, $9.99 a month. Agreed. Going down the future, right? Going down the road, I agree that Stadia.
They're playing the long game.
They are playing the long game, and that's fine. This is what I see going on with Stadia, in my personal opinion. A lot of people are going to get it. They're going to do their 3-month trial. By the way, they have a Chromecast Ultra, so it's not like if you stop using the service, your Chromecast is useless. You still have the Chromecast Ultra, which is a super cool device. I think this is going to be a very short-lived, short subscription service for a lot of people. 6, 8 months, maybe a year. Maybe you'll do a year subscription, and then you'll get back to your renew period, and you'll probably go, I'm not really using this a whole lot. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not the perfect test case for a service like Stadia. I get it. But I really don't know who this is marketing towards. I understand what you're saying, but all those people, the Xbox and PlayStation 4s are so cheap right now that they're $200 and they come with a game.
But the new one that's coming out, in a year and a half?
Maybe.
Is going to be like $1,000.
It won't. There's no way it will, because it won't be able to compete in the market.
They put too expensive hardware in it.
Well, and because they have to. I don't know. I am very uncertain. I have struggled with this for months now. Every year it goes up
because the PlayStation 2
It hasn't gone up though. The
$300.
Okay.
It was the play PS3 was $500.
Yes.
And then the more recent one, they had like the weaker versions. They've been doing it so they could get it down to 400 again.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's going to keep going up, and the way that hardware works now, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how far advanced hardware they actually put in it, how expensive of hardware, because they realize now how quickly all that stuff becomes out of date. And if a service like this, how are they going to keep up? Because they can instantly update the hardware. You're not limited to hardware with games anymore.
I get that. I totally understand that argument. I'm just really, I don't know where this is going to fit in the market. That's all I'm saying. I'm really struggling to understand that. So
I don't see this being the end all, but if you take a look,
because here's the problem.
Google tends not to be the ones who actually make the one that worked.
Yeah.
And people aren't using the Chromecast. You want to know why? Because they didn't do it 100%, right.
I use the one built into my TV, the Vizio.
But people are using the Fire TV.
Oh yeah.
Things like that, because it actually works better. It's just they've gone through and they make the initial one that people see, and then someone else comes out and does it better. So I think that this is going to be the initial play test. Someone's going to turn around and make something that people actually use.
Okay, agreed. The problem is people that are buying this one are not casual players. They're not people for buying it for their kids. These are hardcore gaming enthusiasts that are buying Stadia now. And it's for the foreseeable future going to be people that are super into gaming. That's not the market for this product. That's why I'm very uncertain where this is going to land.
Yeah.
That's it.
And it'll be hard to say. The thing is what are they going to be able to provide that's beyond what you're getting on your console or your PC? And if that's where they can come up with a version of a game where online, like it has some crazy AI advantages, or something, maybe something with multiplayer, or something with the way the world event works, or something that is way advanced, that people will be like, okay, that's cool, I see that.
Yeah.
But right now, as games sit, I don't see a big advantage, because most games they don't have this technology behind them. They're not taking advantage of it. Or even a huge world like what we try to have with Atlas. That is something. Imagine that without the loading screens. You're actually around that size of a world, and you're just traveling around it. That this would make a system like that without having 20 servers or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope it's successful. I think for the industry, it'll probably make things a little bit better, but I don't know who this product is for as of right now. So that's where we land with.
I don't think they know either. So.
Yeah. Well, so then it's a mutual thing. So if you back the Founders Edition, which I'm pretty sure is already gone, I think.
The Founders Edition, the Premier Edition,
I think it's all gone.
So I think the Premier Edition is still around, but the Founders Edition is out.
Yeah, the Founders Edition sold out almost instantly. So if you are a founder, your first stream can be November 19th, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. That's the first time you can jump in there. So what's the 19th? Is that what day is that? That's
November 19th?
Yeah, that's a Tuesday. So we'll have a report on that here in a couple weeks, about a month from now.
Yep.
When that comes out, we'll hopefully have some stuff. And by the way, if you pre-ordered Stadia or have a part of the Founders Edition, let us know. We'd love to get back with you on the 19th and see what your experience is like. Or if you shoot some video or whatever of us, let us know. Brian, it's this time of the year again. It's game updates for Obscure Holiday season. And with that being the case, we've got an update here from Miscrated, who is doing a seasonal event. I don't remember them doing one last year for Halloween, but they're doing one now. And it's actually before Halloween, which is nice. We've seen the release Halloween update one day before Halloween patch. Not the case here with Miscreated. So we'll just look at a couple of things here. They made a change to the C4 and how that works with the kiosk system. So they've done some changes with that. And here are some of the things that they've got here. So they've got some Halloween bags here that will be have different pieces of lootable items in them. They've added jack-o'-lanterns, which will be for decorations. They'll be around your base. And they've added a creepy bunny toy, a creepy giant bear toy, a Halloween candle, which is a couple skulls and a candle in the middle, some cool Halloween string lights, and they say along with the Halloween bags, Something else has been adding, something mysterious. You just, whatever this thing is, you open it and it will reward you with something. It's a mystery. We're not really sure exactly what it is yet. So those are the things that they've done for Halloween in terms of just adding individual Halloween items. They do have some notes in here about the snapping system and how things are going with that. Roof snapping, wall snapping.
Placement now. Yep.
And then we've also...
And this is something that they've been focusing on. And I think that this will help because base building up to this point has been not your average players even interested in it because it's just been such a pain. There are, they have a special server, Miscrated has a server that's a whitelisted server where people go and build, and they kind of see what it can do, but no one does that on the regular servers because the glitches and the way the rating works, like all the stuff you're building just gets destroyed instantly. So,
yeah. We also got some new pictures of the desert map. So here's a couple more screenshots of this. Some more, you can actually see some of this kind of looks like Apex. When I originally looked at this before the show, I was like, oh, it kind of reminds me of Apex a little bit. Totally different from the current map. But nevertheless, they are hard at work. It's obvious based on these pictures, these screenshots, and the in-depth notes that they've got on here. So if you're a Miscrated fan, or even if you're not, you want to log in here, you can check out Miscrated. Their Halloween update. I don't know if it's live now. I think it is. You can go ahead and check that out.
Very good. Some other updates. First of all, one small one. Now, Conan Exiles, they put out an update. It's not pulling up correctly for me, but it was just some small fixes. I'll try to get a better link for that. No Man's Sky, they came out with their 2.14 patch, and that was October 10th. This is a list of probably 10 to 12 fixes that they've done. That not a huge patch, no new content, purely fixes for this one, and that's across PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So if you're doing No Man's Sky, you should have the new patch.
Cool.
ROE came out with 2 updates this week. Of course, they're a released game still. It's just not. Is Steam working for you properly?
No.
Okay, so it's a Steam issue. All right, very good.
This ought to be interesting.
I love that. Well, how about we talk about something that's not related to Steam?
Okay.
And Apex Legends, one thing that they have done is they've opened up a training ground so that players can get used to weapons and characters. Because before you had to pretty much play and kind of figure things out on the fly. And so now in Apex Legends, they're releasing to where you can have a training ground and go through and just, try, because there's a lot of unique abilities with each one. With each character, also the weapons, there's a lot of mods and everything else you can do. So you should be able to go in there and do that. Also, they put out, and they just announced it today, released today, their Fight or Flight event.
Oh, cool.
And so this one is going from October 15th, which is today, to November 5th.
Wow.
It's a limited time event.
Limited time, so, freaking 3 weeks.
Yes. And so one thing that they'll do is they'll have Shadowfall as the mode, and it's going to have a nighttime version of King's Canyon.
Oh, cool.
They're going to have in there cosmetics, like you can get some legendary weapon skins, things like that for the event. They're going to have 24-hour event limited premium cosmetics that players can unlock in one of 3 ways. You can do a direct purchase, or sorry, it's not 24 hours, it's 24 event limited. So there's going to be 24 different items. But you can get them with the Apex coins. You can use crafting metals and unlock them, or you might have random unlocks with the Apex packs that they have. Also, they're going to have a double XP for the top 5 and wins weekend. So this will be that map at night, which I don't know if that's something they've done before.
It's a Halloween thing, clearly, based on some of the skins and whatnot. They're following the typical Halloween track of adding orange to things and making them darker.
It looks like pieces of a pumpkin or something.
Yeah, so that'll be neat. That'll be cool. We'll have to play this over the next couple weeks before this ends out. That'll be cool.
Yeah, and they have, for instance, like a skin of that looks like. I mean, they're definitely some of the player skins are definitely Halloween themed as well. They have one that looks like it's a vampire. They have one that mean, that looks like a scary clown. They have one that I assume is Frankenstein, from what I can tell. And so you can try and get some of those skins, and that will be, should be here soon in Apex.
Now, here's the important question, Brian. 2 weeks from now is going to be a couple days before Halloween. Are we dressing up for Halloween on the show?
I always hate doing that. We'll talk about it outside of the show. How about that?
I'm
not committing to anything right now.
You're not. You won't.
I know you'll pressure me. You'll pressure me into saying yes.
No, I'm not pressuring. I'm just saying, have we done Halloween in the past? We've done like lame stuff, right? You didn't do Dr. Disrespect for Halloween. No. That was something different.
I think we did like Christmas, and we've done other holidays.
We should do Halloween.
More things.
My man. Talk about it. All right, Halloween coming up in 2 weeks. Check it out, infectionpodcast.com. If you agree with me, send an email. Out of town. We'll see. Send a note, Brian at infectionpodcast.com, if you've got any concerns about the Halloween gear. Perfect. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. All right. On to other news. Of course, we have to do things that are not Steam, because Steam is broken right now.
Is it still broken?
Well,
it is. Huh. Interesting.
Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Atlas. Atlas,
speaking of broken things.
Yeah, speaking of broken. So the previous patch that we discussed was 3.15.70, even though they call it .7, but I assume that means .70 is what we came to the conclusion of. They did announce that same day the crossplay. They opened up crossplay for us. They did an issue in 400.22 for making it so you could actually harvest foliage that had broken. They released the 400.38, which was just tons of fixes, not any new features, but a lot of fixes to spelling errors, adjusting the wild elephant to have higher resistance, fixing some icons, just lots of little things like that. 400.41, they did a lot of gamepad specific and Xbox specific patches, but they also fixed a few of the items, boots, gloves, things like that. And then they had one for the server only on this last one that fixed the server only crash. So
gotcha.
Should be good.
Yeah. So
current
update there from Atlas, checking out all their stuff here. Let's see. Is Steam still down for us? It is. It's back. It's back. We're back.
All right.
Do you want to, what did we skip over because of Steam? ROE?
ROE. So ROE, this is 10.10.2019. They have their anniversary event week 4 called Second Wind. And once again, they're doing similar to what these other games are doing. They're having a limited time map with limited time mode. And this one's going to be Europa Island. And they're having multiple respawn devices in fixed locations. You can use them to eliminate teammates on the battlefield. And when they're eliminated, surviving players are required to pick up the biodata card in the eliminated teammate, and then in their backpack for a limited amount of time, and then they can go and respawn those teammates, which is a lot like Apex.
A lot? You literally are picking up a card, a data card? I mean, hello. Hey, I'll tell you what, man. If it works, it works.
And that's the thing. Adopting features that seem to work, if people like it and it makes your game better, go for it.
Absolutely.
You're just going to come up with a better game, and other games will have to come up with new things to stay ahead.
Yeah.
And then they did one on the 11th, which was just a single fix, a game crash that was happening. So
gotcha.
Just a small patch for that one. But that's current for ROE.
Cool.
Elite Dangerous also.
Your favorite game.
Now they came out. Yes, it is a very fun. I do enjoy the game, but man, I don't have my life to give it.
You're missing out.
And so they came out with the September update, patch 3, and this came out on the 10th. On here, they fixed some issues with the cockpit UI, stability issues, a couple crashes, fixed a thing with exploration. So on the map, they have it where when people discover something, you can name it and things like that. It was missing the names of the people that discovered them on the map. They also fixed an issue with like flak launchers, the video effects that those were doing. Just a lot of fixes in this. A couple Xbox One only fixes that they did as well. And then they have an event that they have now done called the Scourge. And this is one where it starts October 10th. That was phase 1. So within the last 5 days, and that goes through to the 16th. And so what you want to do is, now they're saying it's related to grains, pesticides, and synthetic reagents. You have to deliver them to a specific location, and it's, all for some arcing story that they're doing. You're trying to get it there for the war effort and things like that. So if you're interested in participating in that, make sure you log in, and you have until the 16th to be a part of that, that, I guess, mode. I don't know what it is, but it's an event.
Neat.
So, and they do kind of fun things like that, to where they'll have it to where everybody travels to a certain place. Here, they're delivering certain items. So, seems like fun. Now,
Let me hold
SCUM,
on before you move on with that. I want to ask: when was the last time you played Elite Dangerous? I know you've been off the horse for a while.
Let me see. It's been over a year. I'm pretty sure.
That's it's a tough with these games. I bought this. You conned me into buying it, and
hey, it was fun.
That's the problem. It was a lot of fun, but it's just unrealistic.
Yeah, we just don't have time to play it. And that's the thing is, I think it's been like a year since I went in there. It's got a steep learning curve, first of all.
Very steep, yeah.
And even if you step away for a while, it takes a bit to get back in that groove. But when you're playing it, like you're just you want to get back in and play it again. But when you step away for a bit, it's like, oh, I'm not going to remember, okay, where was I? Where was I going? But when we were playing it, it's like, all right, I got to deliver these things to this specific place. I get this amount of money, and I got to do this many times, and I can get the ship upgrade, and like you're just going with it, and it's so much fun. And I've got almost 100 hours in the game. That's not ridiculous, but it's 100 hours of grinding it, and having a lot of fun. So definitely worth checking out. But it's one of those that you have to kind of commit to being one of your only games. It's not a casual game.
No, that is the most factual thing you've said on this program, Brian. Elite Dangerous is not a casual game. Yeah.
So if you're looking for that game that you can just be like, that's one of the games you play 2 games, maybe 3 games, and you want this to be one of them, it is that kind of a game.
Well, yeah, but you can have
it where you nerd out on it.
And here's the other thing too. It's one of those games that, in my opinion, I'm not an expert in it, but it's one of these games that we talk about, games that there's no skill gap in, right? Like the best player and the newbiest of players are still on a level playing field. Elite Dangerous is on the complete opposite side of that spectrum.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a game that you get a result for investing all that time and effort and energy, this is one of those games to do that. You will be
because
heavily
you're very
rewarded.
limited. Because you're very limited initially. I mean, first of all, the amount of distance that you can jump, and travel to reach from planet to planet is very limited. Your amount of fuel you can carry, all these things, the amount of cargo you can carry, all these things are very limited. And then as you upgrade your ship and you grind, then you have the ability to jump farther. And the world is just gigantic. The universe is gigantic. And so you're able to then go farther, and you're able to carry more, and then you're balancing out. Well, do I want a ship that carries a lot? Do I want a ship that does combat? Do I want a ship that travels better? And so you can either get multiple ships and really upgrade those, or you can put all your eggs in one basket and get one kind of ship. I mean, we remember Green Man and I, we sat there and we focused on one, like we were going to get, like we had certain ships in mind that we wanted to get. And I think I had gotten like that one or the one right below it, which was a really big ship and able to carry a lot of stuff. And then we kind of stopped playing. But you can get a goal like that. Like, I'm going to get this ship. I'm going to outfit it with these things, and you can do the grind and really work at it and use the market and the economics of the game to earn that. Or you can go, if you want to just go and travel, you can build a ship that you can just go to new undiscovered places. So you can have your name on there that says that you discovered a system. Like, there's tons of stuff you can do in the game.
Yeah. It's tough, man.
It is fun. I'm just talking about it makes me want to play it.
Go for it. You got nothing going on.
I don't have any time.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Busy things. All right. Sorry to take you off the trail. I was just curious.
Nope, you're good. So SCUM, they came out with the 0.2.58.17501. Still not close enough for me to play this yet. We'll see, maybe by the end of the year. We'll see. But
Merry Christmas.
so they are doing a straw poll that you can do, and so they want to get feedback from the community on whether or not they should do a wipe. So you can go on there and vote.
All right,
this is for official servers.
Let's guess. What do we think? Wipe or not wipe? That is the question.
I would have said wipe.
Okay, let's see.
So
well, we're both players, so I'm going to vote for both of us. We want to vote for a wipe. Wow, there's a lot of votes on here. They've got 3,500 votes. That's a lot higher than I was expecting. Yeah, 70% wipe.
People want to wipe.
Okay, I'm giving you a homework assignment, Brian. We need to keep this. We need to figure out when they're going to wipe. That's the time that we need to jump in and try this again. I know you don't want to play till you hit your specific version, but if they do a wipe,
I could break me. Yeah,
you have to break. Won't be the first time we've not done that. Something we said we were going to do on the podcast. So I think you'll be able to get over it. But we really this is for anybody that's played SCUM a little bit. A wipe is like in any game. A server wipe, mass wipe is when you want to jump in and try try it again. So we need to do that. A wipe and a free weekend.
Have all these things built up.
Yeah, that's what PH says. They need to do a wipe and do a free weekend to get people back.
So people can experience it.
Agreed. And that's very common.
Is they would need to, if they did a free weekend, they almost need to wipe it right afterwards again.
Yeah, that's actually a huge disadvantage. They should do the wipe and then a free weekend like the week after. That's the way to do it.
But then I'm saying then they need to wipe it again almost because you'll have all these people that never play again. And then you have
but the benefit
all these characters.
That's true. That's true. Well, we'll see. Nevertheless, it's looking like a wipe's probably going to happen. We'll see if they listen to their community.
Yep. All right. So another thing that they're doing is they've added a new way to rob players. So you can go and access the inventory of a captured prisoner once you tie their hands, similar to, DayZ, Arma. There's games that have this. And then you can go through and take things out. So that's been added. They've added some new pieces for base building. So they have 4 pieces for wooden logs, 10 planks, and then 10 toolbox uses. So these are new things that they've added to crafting. Added some new admin commands, which I'm sure people really care about, but a lot of stuff having to do with teleport. So you could teleport to people. I guess with managing a server, that's really helpful if someone's saying that there's an issue and you need to get over there. And then quite a long list of bug fixes and quality of life improvements. And then they've done some optimization as well. So, and no new comic. I know you're disappointed, but no new comic this week.
All right. Well,
maybe next time.
I don't get everything I want all the time.
Yeah, I know. Maybe next time. Arc also came out with some smaller updates. One thing they did was the cryopods are now able to be crafted in the obelisk. And they added some explorer notes for 1 through 5 of the Genesis Chronicles. And they added a corrupt avatar armor helmet for the Genesis Chronicles. So that was added in 299.26. And then 299.27, they fixed an exploit and they fixed an issue with a rare blue screen of death. So those are 2 things with Arc.
Cool.
I think the last thing is Rocket League. I don't think we skipped anything else, but Rocket League, first of all, came out with the 1.68 patch. And this is what they're calling their October update. I don't know if you remember, they did their September update and it was like on the 1st of October, they did their 3rd September update, which I guess maybe they were a little bit behind on it and they just put it out anyways. But so this one, they did the Haunted Hallows 2019, which begins to start it begins with this patch and then it ends on November 11th. So you'll be able to do it that whole time. They added new teams to the esports shop, esports teams. The post-play game party up function has been added. So now if you've been grouping with somebody, someone that you were playing a game, a random that you're playing a game with, you can party up with them right afterwards.
That's cool.
Yep. And then some new content related to those esports teams, and then some fixes and changes to like the party system, the quick play system, and a number of new fixes. So
yeah,
they do have a video. I don't know if you want to show the video of the Haunted Hallows.
Yeah, I can show it in the background. This Haunted Hallows thing is actually it's a partnership with Stranger Things, which obviously is the popular Netflix show. But I don't find it odd. I find it interesting that we've got Dead by Daylight is partnered with them, and well, I don't know if it's a partnership, whatever. They've licensed Stranger Things. Now Rocket League is also licensed Stranger Things, and they are adding Stranger Things elements to the game. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see as popular of a series as Stranger Things is, kind of, I'm not call it crossing the barrier, but coming into the game like this. I find you don't see this with everything. Like, you see The Walking Dead, and right, they did their whole thing, but
yeah,
for this is kind of odd.
Yeah, I mean, this is 100% marketing. I mean,
it is. Yeah,
it's like they come in and they are able to turn around, and it makes you wonder who's paying who in this. How do they decide this? Because it's a benefit to both. Are they doing a cut of the proceeds?
It's got to be.
So, I mean, that's the thing is, because for Stranger Things, this is a good marketing event, but also it's a good thing for Rocket League as well. So I just assume they're doing some sort of an income split from it, rather than because either one could pay either one for something.
Yeah, I don't know how it works. I think it's cool that such a popular TV series is not, Stranger
Rocket
Things.
League is pretty popular though.
It is. A Stranger Things video game, I don't think would make any sense. That would be weird. But these little drops into these other games would be kind of cool. And that's what they're doing. I think it's neat. Not every popular thing needs its own book, movie, game. It's just this little.
Well, I mean,
insertion.
look what they tried to do with Left 4 Dead. I mean, there's all these Left 4 Dead things that, okay, by the time the game came out, the hype was already gone.
The Left 4 Dead, you're talking about Walking Dead?
Sorry, The Walking Dead. Yeah. You look at The Walking Dead, they started releasing these games and like everybody's already past it. They're like, but that's how long it takes them to make the game. Where here, they can just throw in some skins, get some quick marketing,
good to go,
and they're out.
Exactly. And for all intents and purposes, it's a Stranger Things, a game.
Yep. Which
is cool. And then the Dead by Daylight thing is super cool. A lot of fun.
Yep. Definitely.
All right.
Well, I think we covered everything.
Wow. We're early. This is great. I have
a hockey game.
I gotta be up early for work, so this is working out well. Okay, so we did all of our news. With that being, I'm all over the place. With that, let's do current players, where we talk about video games and the people that are currently playing them. Let's start, if I can get to my thing here. Yeah, let's start with Ark Survival Evolved. Currently playing 21,174. The 24-hour peak 36,622, with a 7-day peak of 50,337. Let's take a look over at Rust. Currently playing 33,903. The 24-hour peak 45,600, with a 7-day peak. That number is also wrong. That number is wrong. It's just I didn't put the right number in there. My bad. Let's take a look at 7 Days to Die. Currently playing 14,337. This has given a lot of these other games a run for their money. 24-hour peak 17,686, and the 7-day peak 24,838. Fantastic numbers from 7 Days to Die. We like to see that over there. And then finally, Conan Exiles. They did their big new DLC last week. Currently playing 5,714. The 24-hour peak 8,611, and 11,006 is your 7-day peak. And that is current players, Brian, on this Tuesday, the 248th episode of the podcast. All right.
Very good. All right, so let's go ahead and do tip of the week.
What is that?
Well, this is where I go through and either give a general gaming tip, which I don't do very often, usually for a specific game, and since we've been playing a lot of 7 Days to Die, that will be our tip of the week. Well, one interesting thing with 7 Days to Die is they have this skill point system that they've been revamping in the last couple versions. And I found a website that really helps with being able to figure out how to spend your points. And so one thing you'll learn with this new version is how you spend your points really gives you the ability to sit there and tune your character quite a bit. You'll have to pick and choose exactly what you want as you level up. There's a lot of different ways that you can go. So if you go to jacksay.com/perks, on there, it's a perks calculator. And this allows you to set what level you're currently at, or maybe the level that you're planning to be, or you're planning for. And then you can spend the points and figure out exactly what abilities you'll be able to get by that level. So it's made to resemble the in-game point system very closely.
Looks good.
Pretty much looks identical. You can go through and spend all those points and say, all right, if I'm level 25, will I be able to reach this particular combo?
Wow, this is super cool.
And then it gives you a link if you want to share builds with other people.
Whoa.
It seems to be made very well. And it's a great way to kind of figure it out and then maybe share it with friends that are also playing. See if they're, I can see Saul using this website a lot, saying, hey, you should get this build and do this and everything else. So
do this.
Hey guys.
This is super. This is Brian. I got to tell you, this is a fantastic tip right here. I mean, this is a really incredible tip. This is one of the best tips I've ever seen.
It's a perfect tip.
I mean, it's a great tip. This is a this is
awesome.
So this is a really cool website.
Yeah.
Normally these spec sites are kind of garbage. Like they're just like a bunch of weird forms and a bunch of algorithm or like a bunch of calculations. Like they look like garbage. This literally looks like the in-game menu.
It looks identical to the in-game.
Yeah,
so
this is
a really
awesome.
good job on it.
Yeah, this is really cool. There'll be a link in the show notes.
Yeah, jacksay.com/perks. We'll have it in the show notes as well if you forget. And that is tip of the week.
Cool. All right. We are playing Fortnite Chapter 2 for Game of the Week. It's free. The update is like 68 gigabytes. I did it here before the show. I was going to play, but I didn't have time. So it's a big update. So be prepared for that. Get it installed. Make sure you're all set and ready to go. And we'll see you for that. Well, we won't see Brian, but I'll be there. Don't worry. I'll be there 8 p.m. Friday night in our Discord server, infectionpodcast.com. Click on the Discord link there, and that will get you all in there. All right, Brian.
My likes and prayers will be with you guys.
Yeah, well, that's fine, as we're getting destroyed by 11-year-olds. So I appreciate it. Yeah. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
All right. If you want to find me at Boise Computer on Twitter, of course, my blog, biteoftech.com. And make sure if you go check out our website, first of all, we have all those show notes on there. But if you want to help form the next episode, you can go to join our Discord server, and that will allow you to submit news throughout the week, be a part of that Friday night game night that we do. And people are just kind of chatting and hanging out and saying all kinds of ridiculous things throughout the whole week. Also, we have our audio forms. If you want to click and listen to us on whatever platform you prefer, we have our video forms on YouTube. We do our live stream on Twitch and then also on Mixer. And then our Steam group, if you want to get a notification so you can join us during one of those live broadcasts, you can just join the Steam group and you get one little notification a little bit before the show starts. And then also on the left-hand side, we have ways that you can support us. If you want to support us through either Amazon or if you want to support us through Humble Bundle, we have links for that. And also, of course, the Amazon Primes are the thing that primarily gets us money that sends us to PAX. So if you are an audio only listener, one great way that you can support us if you happen to already have Amazon Prime is just go link it to your Twitch account and subscribe to our channel. You don't have to be broadcasting at the time. So even if we're not broadcasting, we'll get a notification that you subscribe to the show.
Absolutely.
I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brian. Thanks to everybody that hit us up with the either first-time subscription or resubscription. Let's see if I can pop all these names in here or if Twitch is going to be stupid. I want to thank our buddy Johnny Find, Falcon Watch, Valp, Head Neophyte, and Locklore, who says Taiwan #1 here on the program. Thank all those guys for hitting us up with the resubscriptions here on Twitch. We appreciate it. Thank you very much, and it helps fund our trips and whatnot. So with that being said, Brian, thank you. We'll see you next Tuesday. Well, we'll see you Friday night for game night, 8 p.m. Eastern, and then we'll see you next Tuesday for another episode of Infection. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that... Oh, by the way, before we get out of here, I've got to give a huge shout out to, again, I don't want to dox him. I want to give a shout out to our buddy Ben for making us the super cool intro that we're going to be using at the beginning of the show now. So shout out Ben for that. We appreciate it. And I mean, if you want to make something, that's cool. Just just let us know. We'll try to incorporate it into the show somehow. So thanks for that. My name is Nick Craig. You can follow me on Twitter at Nicholas M. Craig. If you missed any portion of the show notes, links, videos, pictures, all that fun stuff is on our website. It's infectionpodcast.com. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Have a great week. We will see you next time. Have a good one, guys.